we're going to continue this run of important movies by looking at the original film that was about the 8th wonder of the world. Yes, folks, I went out of my way to get a hold of a physical copy, so now I'm happy to say that we are finally reviewing The Mighty Kong.
He's the biggest beast on earth, the 8th wonder of the world. Singing Venom's terrifying, mystifying Kong, the Mighty Kong.
How? How does this keep happening? I know I had King Kong in here, so why... Loki! Well, I guess it's not King Kong we're doing, but The Mighty Kong. That said, there was outside help from the Lana Film Company, Jade Animation, and Hanshin Corporation. They all focused on animated cartoons, and Hanshin even helped on one of the animated Titanic movies. Go figure. Directorship comes from Art Scott, who has been a part of other Warner Brothers media, while the main writer of this flick is William J. Keenan. Bit of an interesting combination, so how are they going to handle the source material? Could they tell a story that's faithful to the original while making it digestible for younger audiences? Well, you would hope so, but that's where we come in. Prepare yourselves for The Mighty Kong. Right away, we get an overhead view of Skull Island and the massive gate that is keeping out King Kong. So why are their villagers performing the ritual on his side? It's a pretty trippy opening that seems promising enough, but we move to New York where a crew is loading up tons of explosives.
What kind of a business operates this way?
A movie company. What else?
Oh. Well, hopefully there isn't a smoker amongst those guys. Among the stars of this movie, we have Richard Newman playing the captain. Then as we shift to a theater, we learn about a movie director who's behind this big project named Carl Denham. Yeah, this film is definitely a musical, and I don't mean for just this scene. I mean the whole movie. They gotta follow that standard Disney formula somehow. They even got the Sherman Brothers involved, so at least they'll sound catchy and hopefully enjoyable. That said, I have to question the animation. Like, honestly, the character models and backgrounds aren't bad, but those noticeable errors make me wonder if they're intentional or not. Also, bring them back alive? You sure you aren't talking about Frank Buck? That was his shtick after all. Oh, there he is, Carl Denham himself. And look at this crowd. Not a whole lot of people showed up.
I'm telling you, Roscoe, closing this show is the smartest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, because your show sucked and was wasting time and money. Oh, and he's voiced by Dudley Moore. It's his final film role before his death in 2002. Anyway, we know he's planning a secret safari for his next film, but one of the actors for that project dropped. So gotta find a replacement, and soon.
Roscoe, at last our search is over.
She screamed once. I see talent. In fairness, a lot of what's going on is quite in line with the source material. And Darrow, voiced by Jodie Benson, had her livelihood ruined because of the Great Depression, which was why she is resorting to thievery for survival. I guess Carl is desperate enough to hire any warm body, so he pays for the stolen apple and later at a restaurant offers her fame and fortune.
I don't know.
Oh, what a luscious life you'll lead in Lotus Land.
In Hollywood,
Living it up in the movie colony.
Beverly Hills.
Once you are a movie star, your life is really lush.
Lush.
When you're rolling in the money, even rainy days are so...
Well, I did say hopefully enjoyable songs. I would say how surreal it is for anyone to turn the tragic story of King Kong into a Disney musical, but then again, nobody expected Disney doing the same with Victor Hugo's Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's all a matter of execution, and given the inconsistency in everyone's placement here, it's hard for me to get immersed with the story. Anyway, Anne agrees to sign on and boards the Venture ship, which is actually the SS Java Queen in this version. There we meet Captain cabin boy Ricky, voiced by Jason Gray Stanford. He happens to have a pet monkey named Chimps.
He's Chips. I'm Ricky.
Or Chips? Whatever. They're here because we need the obligatory child and animal sidekicks. And then knocks someone over by mistake, and this snowballs into a crazier accident.
Belay the hoist!
I'm quite impressed that someone can get all the way down to the lower deck after a rope holding cargo snaps, and save someone before it hits the ground. Anyway, this is Jack Driscoll, who is another character from the original King Kong. He's Anne's love interest. Eventually, because their first interaction goes like this.
I'll tell you how to thank me. Go to your cabin and stay there. And you, get that monkey out of my sight before I have him keel-hauled.
Of all the ill-mannered, foul-tempered, bullying people I've ever met, he takes the cake!
By the way, I don't know if you've noticed, but Anne's hair keeps changing colors. First it was brown, then blonde, then back to brown during the ship scene, and then back to blonde again. It could be a result of the lighting or the contrast, but it's just so bizarre. Anne tells Ricky and Chips what happened, and they get along well enough that they become her entourage. We later see some sailors complaining about the trip. One of them mentioned their past experiences of stumbling into Skull Island, and it's one of the few good moments in the movie.
Captain decides to put a couple of longboats ashore that could help. So, 30 of my shipmates push off. And then, nothing.
This is a genuine moment of building suspense and mystery to this island. It's not played for laughs, and they even mention how one of their crew died without sugarcoating it. The only problem I have with this scene is how we already know what Kong looks like during the opening scene earlier. It would have been better if the movie only foreshadowed his appearance, like with this bit.
But I'll never forget that look of terror in Larson's eyes!
Moving on, Ricky ends up in Anne's room again while trying to make meal deliveries. The waves are causing him to spill the food, so Anne volunteers to help him out. She takes a meal to the captain, but then she overhears what Jack has to say about her.
It's not her fault she's a woman. She probably doesn't even know she's a jinx.
A jinx? Oh, why, you arrogant oaf! I'll show you jinx!
Again, they're supposed to be in a romance later. Yet so far, they've done nothing but fight with each other. But maybe the next scene will change that, where Anne is wearing a nice dress for a screen test.
Now, you are a Polynesian princess. Your kingdom, a beautiful, magical, tropical island called... give me an island, Moscow.
Bali High?
Carl was not this inept in the original story, right? Since production isn't going well, he asks the crew to help with music, and well, it does lead to a good Jodie Benson performance.
Gosh, oh golly, they all go off the trolley because they love my Polly Ollie smile. The palm trees sway, the bongos play.
It's still so weird for them to go this route while hewing closely to what Disney and its competitors were doing for their animated movies. They even have cartoonish animals that are surprisingly fluid compared to everything else. It only makes me wonder what would happen if Disney did decide to do King Kong. Well, at least 2 people thought of that already. So after 6 weeks of travel, the captain finally asks about the trip's final destination. Maybe the original story was like this too, but you'd think the crew would know where they're heading when they were hired, and they didn't ask for additional coordinates, even when they ended up in the middle of nowhere.
Of course it's uncharted. Officially, at least. But that's why this map cost me $1,000.
$1,000? Treasure maps are a dime a dozen. You, sir, are a madman.
Yeah, that's what they say about all of us.
I swear, this version of Denham is a big idiot. Also, his map of Skull Island is just a picture of the island. It's pretty useless. Still, Jack and the captain won't agree to take the filming team to the Skull Island, at least not without the crew's consent. Now, Denham has to convince them with another song.
I guess you haven't a clue that you're the lucky crew, not only of this ship, but part of the greatest movie production of them all.
So what? For I'm about to make a truly epic film.
Okay, this one is definitely bad. It's not even singing, it's more like talk singing. And he doesn't really make a compelling argument outside of bonuses and crap. How big is that bonus for 1933? Whatever, the ship eventually reaches the island and what the hell is that? They go through the jungle to find the natives chanting about something something Kong. And Denham knows what they were referring to because he heard a dying acquaintance mention it.
Do stop playing the buffoon, old man. We're losing the light.
Seriously? He's not that old. Anyway, things progress when Jack sees the natives performing a human sacrifice. Jack wants to stop the ceremony, but the captain tells him to stand down because they don't have a right to intervene.
All hands, back to the boat.
What? Captain.
For some reason, they're in the village now, even though they're still on top of the cliff.
Great continuity!
Hang on, Roscoe!
We can just walk down a steep slope. Anyway, the captain seems to reason with the natives. He can even speak part of their language. But like in the original story, the chief still wants to use Anne as a sacrifice. We also don't get 6 tributes to trade. The crew make their escape, and suddenly Jack falls for Anne. They had no other interactions to fix their issues, and this was all it took. Now they're singing a song about how they're in love.
Why can't I clam up? I've never been this way.
This isn't like me. I'm never silent, completely tongue-tied, without a word to say.
I've never seen this girl before.
This one just feels unearned. Like, even part of the lyrics admit that they haven't known each other for very long, and they're still saying that they've been dreaming for each other their whole lives. There's also this weird gradient over parts of the scene. Even without it, the animation for this is just bad with certain effect use. Our main couple don't even kiss after all this. At this point, even the Swan Princess movies are better in terms of music and animation. Like the original, the natives decide to infiltrate the ship and kidnap Anne. The crew figures this out too late, so they have to rescue her. Ricky and Chips want to help, but...
Get out of the way!
Darn right. We gotta do more than just get out of the way.
Because again, we need child and animal sidekicks. Also, I thought the natives wanted to sacrifice her to Kong, not burn her like a witch. Either way, it's time for King Kong to appear. For real this time. Well, honestly, he's not too bad looking. I thought I was getting that silly brown ape they used for the cover art, but this one works just fine. And at least they're keeping this moment as serious and scary as they can possibly. Bravo! You ruined the moment! Since they can't shoot Kong without possibly hurting Anne, Jack tells the crew to follow those two while he tries to intercept them near the volcano. Also, to further add to this movie's inconsistent nature... What time is it? We're certainly rushing quite a lot, with Jack's battle with a Triceratops being choppy and makes little sense. And of course, the battle between Kong and a T-Rex is equally choppy. At this point, it doesn't feel like they were emulating Disney. The pace used to tell the story really resembles something out of Golden films. Now, I know this scene from the '76 King Kong movie, and I was hoping to compare that and the original if someone hadn't taken it from me. But again, everything is being rushed. It's why I said they could have played it straight for both younger and adult audiences. If they had cut out the songs, then more time could be spent on characterization or atmosphere. Instead, it's a speed run through Kong's greatest moments. Can anything make sense? Jack grabs Anne and they escape the underground volcano eruption. Kong also causes Denham and Roscoe to make a funny getaway. Now all they need is a plan to gas the giant ape. Luckily, Jack and the others are already helping out, which also means saving Denham since he's injured. Anyway, the first gas bomb disorients Kong for a moment, then the second one knocks him out entirely. And since the volcano is blowing the hell up, they have to find a way to save Kong, since that's what Anne wants. How are they gonna do it?
There ought to be something, Captain.
What? Perhaps I might make a suggestion.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea.
So, nothing? No solution we can see to save him? Not that I know of. We just skipped to the Kong in New York portion of the movie. He's actually called the Mighty Kong because... title drop? This talent is just being wasted at this point. Not just the actors, but even the Sherman brothers. Naturally, Anne is against having Kong like this, and the other characters, besides Denham, feel the same.
This poor animal is just not meant to be in chains.
Of course he's not. None of us are. But don't you see he's a trooper, just like you and me. And it's not as though he's just working for bananas alone. I've got my eye on 1,000 acres spread for him in South Jersey.
Oh, he can't survive in Jersey.
I guess to quote Robot Chicken, New Jersey smells like bad tuna. Anyway, on with the show.
From there, we will travel backwards in time, over 50 million years into the past. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present the 8th wonder of the world, the one, the only, the mighty Kong!
I don't know what you were all expecting. He pretty much advertised this thing. Or maybe it's the shoddy way Kong is being kept. In earlier shots, it shows the chains that are attached to Kong's cufflinks are attached to the wall behind him. Yet in this shot, they aren't even attached to the wall at all. But to further add to the inconsistency, the neck cufflink has 2 chains attached when Kong is escaping. Okay, obviously this is the big King Kong escapes part, right? Yeah, not this movie. Instead, it's just a scene where he stomps around New York to find Anne, who was just taken back to her hotel. It's not even an impressive sequence on its own. How is this so wrong, and why does it feel like the movie is collapsing onto itself? Did the writers just give up on making sense? I miss Queen Kong. You hear me? I honestly miss Queen Kong. That movie was bad, but its humor is in a different league compared to this crap. Anyway, Kong finally seizes Anne. She's currently asleep after taking a sedative to calm down or whatever. The military can't do anything to Kong without hurting her, And that all leads to him going up the Empire State Building. Despite this movie holding back a lot of things, at least the planes are packing guns. Of course, in this version, Anne falls off the building after Kong puts her down. She manages to save herself by hanging onto a railing, but soon it'll be Kong's turn to take a tumble. Denham asks for something to better get Kong down, and...
Need to try your idea after all, CB. 2 blimps and a cargo net. That looks pretty harebrained to me.
Was this some scrapped Freakazoid episode given to a completely different studio to play with? At this point, we've hit the point of unintentional parody. Kong gets caught in the net, only to fall through it and hit the ground hard. Jack saves Anne before she does the same, so that's at least one happy end for someone. Not funny. Anne cries because she thinks Kong is dead. Denham says that iconic "Beauty killed the beast" line, only for Kong to just wake up. Everyone's happy. He's gonna need a lot of blood transfusions after surviving that. Just kidding. But seriously, we don't get anything after this. They just pan out over the city into the credits, where they replay all of the songs they sang.
Tell me that it's true. In dreams you've known me too.
You know, this movie didn't start out bad, but things just kept spiraling further and further down a hole of misery that we can never get out of. Like, the character models were passable, and the backgrounds tend to look good a lot of the time. However, the animation quality fluctuates from decent to poor, and there are tons of noticeable errors and mishaps that you'd expect from a lower tier studio like Golden Films. The songs sound fine, but the lyrics are really blah, and the animation for those sequences tend to be on the weaker side. There are some good performances from the voice cast, but the character writing didn't make me care about anyone. The story's pacing is also off, and it just screws with some of the themes from the 1933 film. I get that this is for a younger audience, but I draw the line when almost nothing gets taken seriously, especially when the source material tried to say something about humanity's relationship with nature. But what we got instead was... Now, can you please give me back King Kong so that I can maybe review it now? Well, what timing? Give me a moment. Okay, I'm ready. Oh, you know, getting things squared away before fighting to save the multiverse or whatever. Alright, let's go kick some ass. And as for the rest of you, stick around as I have things to show while I'm out.
Gosh, oh golly, they all go off the trolley because they love my Polly Ollie smile. The palm trees sway, the bongos play beneath the Polly Ollie sky.
Look, I can see their parachutes. They're okay.